Morning, guys. Welcome to the Academy Answers podcast. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening in. And this is the podcast where we talk about happiness, success, and full potential. And a part of that mantra of full potential is what I want to jump into this morning real quickly. You know, when we were growing up, we would hear that, there is the reinforcement, or there is the idea that you could be anything you want to be, and you grew up in your formative years understanding that, pushing towards that. And of course, as you grow older, it is obvious that you stop believing that, because one of the reasons why it's because you realize that maybe you're fascinated by the things that are highlighted around you. And this is something that I think the school system and the socialization process, the entire socialization process, however you're socialized, however we get socialized through the family, churches, or social groups, communities, I think there has to be some form of a highlight on this, so people can, we stop kind of dwarfing our kids' abilities and putting so many layers on it and make it more difficult for them to find themselves. And I'll explain that in a second. But growing up, we heard a lot of you can be whatever you want to be. And as I was saying, you get on out there and you realize that in your immediate environment, some of the things that fascinate you, some of the things that you would like to be, that is elevated, that is glorified. For example, you may be from a school, for example, where you spend most of your time and most of your friends, that is big on sports, maybe track and field, maybe basketball, whatever sporting activity. And you realize that some of the kids were better at it from the get-go than you are. And because there is this thing in you telling you that you could be whatever you want to be, and now it is obvious to you that you're not demonstrating any inclination at the elevated level of being good at this sporting activity or this academic area that is glorified, that you are fascinated with and you want to try. So you start to feel like, they have lied to you and you can't, and you're worthless because the level of the exposure that you have had, and I've spoken on this many times, because the level of exposure that you have had demonstrates that you're not good enough. I think it was Einstein who said that if you take a fish and try to teach it to climb a tree all its life, it will think that it is worthless, because fishes aren't meant to climb trees. They're meant to swim in the ocean. Now, this idea is not fully explored in school and in the early ages of a child's socialization process. I don't think there is much emphasis on a child finding their area. So what is obvious is, or what is being pushed, or what goes out there, or what is elevated, or what is focused on, is the areas that are available in whatever system or environment or institution, and it forces everybody to get in here, and then it starts to sieve. It sieve out the ones that have some form of natural inclination, and the ones that are not good in these areas. They are forced to do extra classes. They're forced to work on their weaknesses. They are told that they're worthless. Everybody's up on them. They don't get any praises. They don't get any support. They don't get any opportunity to go out there and find other areas. So they start to feel like they're worthless. They're not good enough. They can't do it. Some kids are blessed. Some are talented. Some, they just don't know what they're about, and it will never happen for them. And this seeps into their subconscious. And as they come out here in life, it takes maybe almost a miracle, them hitting rock bottom, and to come to some form of a rare awakening. Only few come to it, to get into a zone where they can recalibrate and find themselves and find a purpose and take that to their full potential. And this is real. This is so real. I'll tell you why. Because unless parents, institutions, communities start to focus on forming a base whereby our younger generation understand that the first draw is to be literate and numerate, and the second draw is people skills. The third draw is, how do we find what you have a natural inclination to? Because there's no natural inclination in someone that is not connected to their happiness or their fulfillment. If you can do it naturally, it's going to make you feel good. It's almost connected. It's going to make you happy. It's going to make you feel fulfilled. You're going to learn it quicker. You're going to do it better from the get-go than the average person. So one of my wife's niece, nobody taught her anything about doing hair. She just get in there and she's really good at it. And this is obvious in many different areas. You know, as we are talking about school and sports, there are some kids, the minute they started track and field, they're quick. The minute they started to play football or soccer or whatever you call it, basketball, they're good. They are just this streak of talent from the get-go, before the work started going, before the practice, before the reinforcement. And they like to do it because human nature is motivated by progress. Human nature is motivated by reward and by feeling important. You come out here in the middle of 500 kids and you are the guy who calls your school to get recognized. Everybody start to give you that praise and body start to give you the accolades. You naturally feel good. And we continue to culture our kids in that way, to pick things from their environment, the normal traditional things, throw it at them or throw them in, and then we sift out the ones that just demonstrate this great attitude or this great abilities. We elevate them and praise them, and the ones that are not, we constantly force this thing upon them to do better, or you're not good enough, or here's a mark downgrade, and we're going to do a test, and we're going to do an exam, and we're going to do a competition, and you continue to put them in there and expose their inabilities. And that seeps into their consciousness and come out here into the world, and they live a life feeling that they're inadequate. So when they come out into the world and there's anything that helps them to fit in whichever way, whether from their jobs and they're able to measure up so society, the norm, they feel like this is the good life, I am lucky, I wasn't good in school, I am able to do this now, and they totally disregard their potential. They totally give up on anything that they feel might be theirs to do, because in their minds they weren't ever good at anything in school. They weren't the talented, they weren't the bright, they never had it so good. So I guess they're not lucky, or they're not talented, or they're not smart, and any life that they're able to live now, they must just be grateful and be contented and go on and hope that some streak of luck or some streak of talent come up in their kids, and that's it. That's a dumb notion though, and society has done this to a whole cross section of people. In each one of us there's potential in our own areas. It's a lie that you can be anything you want to be. The truth is, you can be great at something. What it is to find that something. The idea should be to expose yourself to as much things as possible. The golden bit is that it is so much easier these days because social media is playing out everything. The internet is playing out everything in front of our eyes, and we can see so many different things. We see homemakers, we see people, designers, we see craftsmen, we see so many different things every day. And the thing with potential is your instincts will draw you to it naturally. You just need to see it somewhere. You just need to see it somewhere. It's going to stop you. It's going to grab your attention. You're going to go look a little more, and before you know it, you'll spend 25 hours there in a week just looking at the stuff, subscribing to the stuff, seeing another one, sharing it, getting excited about it, being in awe, trying it. And I hope they would explain, or hope you will understand that your potential lies in something that makes you tick, in something that, whether it makes you tick in the wrong way or in the right way. What do I mean by that? If a poorly decorated home pisses you off, if somebody's hairdo makes you want to go over and fix it even though they're a stranger, it means something there is connected. Maybe that's your purpose. Maybe that's your potential. Maybe that's your seed. Maybe that's what you should be doing. Now, the last thing I'll tell you is that potential is a seed. Potential is a seed. The way to cultivate it, if you want to get the life you want from it, and that's the only place the best life is, a fulfilled life. And in this day and age, you can mold it into a whole system of wealth, happiness, and health, and spirituality. If you find your seed and you are determined to spend your life to cultivate it, if you find your seed and you are determined to dedicate the rest of your days to cultivate it, going through the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows, the nights and the days, to manifest, to bring that seed to germination and to harvest. It's not just in some of us, it is in all of us. That idea that we are here for a purpose and we are here with a purpose, and the world is waiting on it. And while LeBron can be all he can be playing basketball, you can be all you can be training dogs, rearing birds, fixing cars, designing homes, painting, sculpting, whatever it is. And it can take you to unimaginable levels of success. You can buy the same car LeBron buys. You can live in the same size house. You can travel on the same private jet, whatever. Or you could just be away somewhere living a minimal life. It is doable and it is achievable in any area of skill. Thank you. Have a good day, my friends. Always a pleasure. Thanks for listening.